I'm gonna kind of give you a little rundown just to help you guys out. I got a running rough car, so I'll give you kind of breakdown. So customer did the work, and timing was off. They bent a few valves. I think it was about 5 valves. I replaced those valves. I did the valve adjustment, 6/1000ths of an inch up on top, and then 7/1000ths of an inch on exhaust. So 6 on intake, 7/1000ths of an inch on exhaust. Got all those checked out. Did that while that's cold. Got everything all running. Then after I got the car started, the car was bogging out. The car didn't want to idle, so I checked a few things. See, the wire loom's kind of torn up. So a lot of things weren't in the right place. So number one, this guy right here, this guy was actually plugged in on the idle air control valve. And then on the idle air control valve was plugged in on the evap canister. So there's like a little canister right here. So you can actually mix those around. So the guy replaced the intake and he didn't mark none of that. Now you can mix those around. So it can be, you can, but the one thing was pretty funny is that this cable didn't come down. So he actually left that alone and never plugged this one in. So for this, it's called a air temperature sensor. So this guy right here will have green, black, and a red, yellow. So that will be for that connector. This will kind of help you out too where the connectors are. Then you'll have a green connector right there. You can see it. That's for the knock sensor. So right in between there, that's going to be for the knock sensor. And then for the idle air control valve, let's see which color is that. So for the idle air control valve, that's going to be black and yellow black. So black and yellow black, that's going to be for the idle air control valve. And then right here, this piece will be right here. So it'll be angled right in there. And then for the evap canister, that one is going to be, it's like a red something, if I can remember correctly. So it's going to be red, blue, and black, yellow. So right there you can see the connectors. So that'll be plugged into this. Alright, so we got those in. So after I got all the wiring fixed up, then I was still, like, the car was running like crap. Like black smoke all over the place, poor idle. It was idling about 400 RPM. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? So this is an OBD2, so I was able to check out a live data. And I noticed in the live data that this sensor right here was reading negative, well, at the first time it was reading at 450 degrees. That's where this guy was connected to right there. And so I'm like, all right, cool. So I took that off. I plugged that back in. Car's still running like crap. So I went ahead, took this off, checked to make sure I got my voltage. Everything was fine. And then I plugged this out right here. Then I checked that. So you're supposed to get a resistance depending on the temperature. So if it starts off at negative 4, it shouldn't be at -4 because -4 it's like in a winter. So if you are in a different state and it is cold, then obviously, but we're in California, so at sea level, should be around like 68. So I should probably be reading about maybe 12,000 ohms. So here's the old one. Now you're gonna need a multimeter for this. So for this one, we're gonna go ahead and test this guy. There's a little chart that you can check up. If you need the chart, just let me know. I'll go ahead and type it up. So for, I think 68 degrees, we should be reading about, I think maybe about 6,000 ohms, 4,000 ohms. So right here we got 39,000 ohms. So this is way off. This is in the negative, I think 40 degrees that it's reading when I did the flow chart. So if it's at -4, you should be reading anywhere from 12,000 ohms to 20,000 ohms if it's at -4. All right, so we got that checked out. I'll go show you how the new one should be. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and measure this one. And so we should, so we got, let me change this down to 20k ohms because it's actually a lesser reading. So right there, oh whoops, I switched it to 200K. Oh whoops, 2K, sorry about that. So right there we got about 2.20 ohms, let's say. That's right there. So we're actually within spec on the temperature. I believe it's around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's where it should be. So we got that, so we connected that, fixed it, started running decent for the moment. Again, this car was sitting for 6 months, tried to get stolen and all that, so all sorts of fun stuff. Alright, so then I went ahead, checked the fuel pressure. Fuel pressure was at around like 50 psi, so fuel pressure was great. Even while running, it went up to 55. So for prime up, when you prime it up, it should go to 50, and then when running, it should go up between 50 to 60 psi. So the way how I connected that, I took off the banjo bolt. That was a 17 millimeter, and then for this guy, I believe it's a 16 millimeter for this bolt right here. The tool that you're gonna need for that to test out the pressure, you can get this from AutoZone. It's 27167. It'll come as a tester press kit, and then you'll use like one of these banjo bolt styles. One will thread in. One was specifically for that car, so I forgot which one I used. And so once you get it in, you'll go ahead and you'll first put in this guy with the gasket. So make sure it comes with the coppers, and then you'll go ahead and bolt this on in a series, and then you'll go ahead and thread this guy right here onto this banjo fitting, and then you'll be in an inline series to test out the fuel pressure. And so we did that. Cool, all said and done. Fuel pressure is great, so that's all checked. And then since he messed up with the intake, I noticed that this guy was off when I was checking it out. So right here, a lot of people, they confuse these, so they'll switch this over with these, because these actually can plug in. So for the throttle position sensor, it's only 3 colors, so this is one way you can tell that it's for the throttle position sensor. It'll be black, green, I think it's red, black, or red, blue, one of those two, and then green, yellow, or yellow, green, sorry about that. So that's for the throttle position sensor. And then for the map sensor, it's going to be red, yellow, green, yellow, and then red, blue. Or red, green, sorry about that, colorblind. I think that's green, white. So that'll be for those guys. So after I got that, I switched those back. Made sure I'm getting pulse at the injectors. Obviously we're getting that because we're running too rich. And then all of a sudden, the car was running, and then it stopped running. And I'm like, oh my God. So I had to figure out everything, checked it all again, make sure I didn't mess up anything. So checked all that. Fan clutch was disconnected, but that has nothing to do with this. Coolant temperature sensors reading great. And then I noticed, I took up the distributor cap to check to see what's up on the spark. I noticed that this guy had play on the ignition rotor. Not on this guy, the assembly, on for this right here. So you see how this has play? So it's actually missing its little, there should be like a little spring to keep this from moving as it's driving. So it'll either advance or it'll have too much play besides from there. So I went ahead and checked the ignition coil because it was too rusty. It was, like again, it was sitting for 6 months, and this is all rusted, so that was a dead giveaway. Here's the old ignition coil. They already changed it. I got one from AutoZone real quick. So I'll show you how to test these guys right now. All right, so for the old one, one way you can do it, you have to test on negative. So this will be, I think, terminal B. And then this is ignition coil. So once I have it at 20K ohms, that it should be reading from anywhere from 16 to 19 thousandths of ohms. So we got that connected. It's reading open. so we know something's going on. You shouldn't read anything in these two. So this is terminal A, that's positive. And then so when I go right here, I should read about that. Let me put that in 2K ohms. So we should get about 0.2 K ohms. So that's what you actually should get. So here's the new one. This one's actually in good condition. Well, 0.2, I think it has to be in the 200s, if I remember correctly. Okay, yeah, right about there. So that'll be for that. Let's double check this. Okay, so this was good on that part. So now let's put it back in 20K ohms. So we're gonna go ahead and read from the negative terminal, so terminal B, and then from the ignition coil. And so right there, so 16, so yeah, about like 15 to 19 thousandths of an ohm. So this is actually pretty good. So we'll go ahead and put this on the car and we'll get that started. Yeah, I mean, this video helped you out. Comment down below if you have any questions. I gotta put that guy back on. I gotta clean up my area right here. And I gotta find something I can fill up this little space with. Try to use a little piece of metal. Now, see how all this little debris stuff's right here? Clean up all that. You can clean it with like a electric cleaner. This is the igniter, so this will send a signal from, this will be your signal right there. Make sure you check timing too. So the white line will be right there on the crankshaft sprocket. You can it's a little bit hard to see, but it'll core line with, there's a little indentation right there. If you want me to do something like that, let me know. I'll try to make a video on that with a different B series with the right hand drive that I have. But yeah, I mean, if I have anything else, I'm gonna go ahead and do this and we'll see what's up. But if this video helped you out, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and then hit that subscribe button for more upcoming videos. And thanks for watching. So we got the car up and running after I replaced the ignition coil and the distributor cap rotor. Running great. While the car was able to start, it was still running like crap. You know, I'm like, well, one last thing I haven't checked was the ignition timing. Even though I made my own marks, it crossed my mind. I'm like, well, hey, they already touched this. Maybe they didn't put it on right because I didn't see the marks on it prior to. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and check it out. So what I did was, right here on the passenger side, you're gonna have a little cable. It's gonna be with a blue connector. It should be like a brown and then black. This connector will be connected to nothing, so, or it can be plugged in one of these rubber things right here. And yeah, so, and then I have this. You can put a paper clip in here. I'm not gonna take it out right now, just because we're checking it. But you can hook up a paper clip. This tool is just like that. But I mean, since I deal with a little bit of Hondas and I need to check out the timing before some customers go to do smog. So I got this tool, so it makes it quicker without finding a paper clip. So again, you can put a paper clip and put them inside those pins, and then once you're done, once you put this in, you need to make sure that the car gets to operating temperature. So it needs to be halfway. So about like right there, this is operating temperature until the fans kick on. So once the fans kick on, then you're gonna go ahead and check it out. Make sure you're not revving up the motor or anything so you don't damage anything, because this is gonna keep the ignition timing from moving. It's gonna keep it stable. So then I got a test light. Obviously gonna hook up one to the negative, one to the power of the cable, the battery, and then on the ignition coil number 1 or ignition cable number 1. Usually this guy right here, the one that goes to it, is gonna have a which way is gonna say it's going to the plug. So this one, you gotta make sure that the arrow is going towards the spark plug itself. And then on your test light, make sure that it says 0 degrees. And then right there, let me see if I can get that going. So right there you can see the test light. Sorry the camera's not picking it up, but you see that little light that's flashing right under there? There's like a little white dot. Well, that right there with the indentation with a little indentation that's right. Make sure you don't put your hand in there. So right there. So with that little indentation right there, that's on the plastic where the flathead screwdriver, you can see that. That's supposed to have a white mark. Now there's a couple red marks and all that. So when you're adjusting the ignition timing, operating temperature, then you have 3 12mm bolts that you're gonna loosen on here. As you can see, I made my own marks, and you see how much I had to retard it. So you can either advance it or retard it. So when you advance it, you're gonna push it away, going towards the firewall, and then when you retard the timing, it's gonna go back this way towards the radiator. So I had to retard it like about 15 degrees. So it was off like a lot. So that's why the car was idling like crap. So you loosen one right here, one right there, and then one on the bottom. Don't loosen them all the way. You just want to have them snug until you can move the distributor. So as you're moving the distributor with one hand and you have the timing light facing right there, you can see where the ignition is going, and you need to do that. And so after you get all that all set and done, go ahead and bolt that right back on, but make sure you hold on the distributor while you bolt it down so it doesn't move, and then recheck your timing and make sure it's dead on. It can be off 1 or 2 degrees. I believe that's the max it can be. Try to keep it within 1 degree so you can get the best performance out of it. Everything's all said and done. I'm about to return this back to the customer. What else? Before you drive off, make sure you disconnect that cable. So since we got this guy disconnected, we'll go ahead and just disconnect it like this, and then we'll tuck this guy right back in. And then also when you connect this guy, you might get a check engine light. Now you can connect this on when it's running or while it's off. I did it while it was running. So we'll get this guy connected. If I can do it while I have. So I already fixed the car. I just got to fine tune it for the distributor for the ignition timing. So after I had everything running, I unplugged that, but I forgot to start recording. I thought I was. So I came back to the car, I tapped on the throttle body, and then the car died right out. The car did not want to start right after that, so I was just left it alone for a week. Had some other things going on, so got back to it, started it, so the car started right up, was idling bad, and I was like, all right, well, whatever. Well, in that time when the car died, the distributor went bad, so the ignition coil went out. I wasn't getting any more spark, and then I popped open the distributor cap, and then that was full of rust. I think I already showed that, I just don't remember because of the time. So anyways, we replaced the whole distributor because I wasn't getting any spark. This is your cam and crank sensor in that, so if you don't get injector pulse or spark, that will be coming from that. So I wasn't getting spark, so I went ahead and replaced it because I wasn't getting a signal from the igniter. So it was more cheaper just to replace the whole thing than to keep trying to buy parts, and it was all rusted out. That was the other main thing. So brand new distributor. And then I got the car running. It was bogging down still, running like crap, black smoke coming out the tailpipe. And so I'm like, what the heck? So I pulled out the spark plugs just to make sure that those were getting spark. And I'm getting black smoke at the exhaust, so I know I'm running rich. So customer didn't tell me, this is what I hate the most, is that he stated that he had the car running with the new injectors that he had. So these are the new aftermarket injectors. These are 550 cc's. I believe he didn't get a resistor box, or didn't get it tuned for this vehicle. He just slapped them on, and you know, other stuff happened, and they were flooding the spark plug, so they were pouring out. I noticed that too when I had the car cranking, that the injectors were clicking too fast. I hooked up a screwdriver and was listening to the rhythm of it, and I noticed it was a little bit more faster than that, so that's why I got that guy off. So all spark plugs were fouled and full of gas, and so all right, so I asked for the original injectors, gave me those. I put everything back in. I do not use butt connectors. I usually use solder. I just did the butt connectors, just that was the option that he gave me, just as in payment wise or whatever, so that we went with that route. But these are heat shrinks butt connectors, so these are a little bit more professional, so at least in that mind. But I hate using butt connectors unless if it's for a radio. So yeah, we got the car all up and running. Now the car starts up like a champ. So make sure you check your spark plugs, make sure that they're not foul like that. So we're gonna go ahead and fine tune everything, and yeah, call it a day. I think I might make a video on the ignition timing on how to do that, so we'll get everything. If this video helped you out, give it a thumbs up, comment down below if you have any questions, and thanks for watching this video.